3 in the morning, the tactical assembly area is completely dark. The infantry battalion is asleep. 800 soldiers are lying on cots in canvas tents or directly on the dirt, surrounded by armored vehicles and perimeter wire. The temperature in the desert is near freezing. The silence is absolute. But the daily operational cycle has already begun for a team of 5 Army culinary specialists. They step out into the freezing air. They do not carry rifles to their primary duty station. They carry heavy flashlights. Their objective is a massive steel box parked near the center of the base. To feed an infantry battalion requires an industrial manufacturing process. A soldier burns thousands of calories a day carrying heavy ceramic body armor, weapons, and ammunition. The mathematical reality is unforgiving. 800 soldiers, 3 meals a day. That is 2,400 individual hot meals that must be produced, served, and cleaned up every single 24-hour period. The mechanism that makes this possible is the Containerized Kitchen, the CK. When fully packed for transport, the CK looks exactly like a standard 20-foot metal shipping container. It is painted flat desert tan or olive drab. It is mounted on a heavy tactical trailer and towed across the battlefield by an FMTV, a family of medium tactical vehicles cargo truck. At 3:10 in the morning, the cooks begin the deployment sequence. Transforming a static metal shipping box into a commercial-grade cooking facility does not require external electricity. It requires raw, coordinated human mechanics. 2 soldiers take up positions at the corners of the container. They insert heavy steel hand cranks into specialized gearboxes embedded in the frame. They begin to turn. The physical resistance is immense. It requires heavy upper body strength. As the gears grind, the mechanical advantage forces the side walls of the container to slowly slide outward. Once the sides are fully extended, the floor panels are manually dropped down on heavy hinges, locking into place to create a flat, solid deck. The roof sections are pushed up and secured. Heavy canvas weather skirts are snapped into place to seal the gaps. In exactly 45 minutes, the 8-foot-wide shipping container has expanded into an interconnected industrial workspace spanning nearly 400 square feet. It contains stainless steel preparation tables, massive ovens, boiling vats, and built-in sinks. The onboard tactical quiet generator is fired up. The harsh glare of fluorescent lighting illuminates the stainless steel. The kitchen is assembled. Now, it requires heat. This is where military culinary engineering completely diverges from the civilian world. A civilian restaurant relies on natural gas pipelines or massive, pressurized propane tanks. In a combat zone, a logistics train cannot support fragile, highly explosive pressurized gas cylinders. A stray piece of shrapnel hitting a propane tank would vaporize the kitchen and everyone inside it. The military logistics doctrine relies on the single fuel concept. Every primary machine on the battlefield, from the massive turbine engine of an M1 Abrams tank to the turboshaft engines of a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter to the diesel engines of the cargo trucks, runs on exactly the same liquid. JP8 is a highly refined, extremely stable aviation kerosene. Because the entire logistical supply chain is designed around moving JP8, the field kitchen must also run on jet fuel. The culinary specialists pull heavy metal blocks from the storage racks. These are the modern burner units, the MBU. They are the heart of the cooking operation. The cooks slide these heavy burner units into the slots directly underneath the massive field ovens and the 50-gallon stainless steel boiling vats. They connect thick, heavy-duty rubber fuel lines from the MBUs to a central gravity-fed fuel tank stationed outside the kitchen. Igniting liquid aviation fuel is not a simple process. You cannot just hold a match to JP8. It is specifically formulated not to ignite easily. To burn it efficiently, the MBU utilizes an internal electric air compressor. The compressor pulls the liquid kerosene from the line and forces it through a microscopic nozzle under extreme pressure. This physically atomizes the dense liquid into a highly combustible fine vapor mist. An electronic spark plug ignites the mist. The result is instantaneous. A roaring, smokeless, intense blue flame shoots into the heating chambers. The noise inside the metal container immediately spikes. 5 active MBUs sound exactly like a jet engine idling on an airport tarmac. The sharp chemical smell of burning aviation fuel permeates the air. It settles into the uniforms of the cooks. It is the permanent, inescapable scent of a hot meal on the front lines. By 4 in the morning, the ovens are preheating. The massive vats are filled with hundreds of gallons of purified water. The menu for 800 heavily armed men is not cooked from scratch. The military relies on the Unitized Group Ration, the UGR. The UGR is a masterpiece of logistical packaging. The food arrives on wooden pallets in massive, heavy-duty cardboard boxes. The math is simple. One box contains everything required to feed exactly 50 soldiers. It contains the main course, the side dishes, the desserts, the paper plates, the plastic utensils, the napkins, and the trash bags. To feed 800 people, the cooks must process 16 complete UGR boxes. The UGR system relies heavily on boil-in-bag technology. The culinary specialists do not stand over open griddles, scrambling thousands of eggs, or flipping hundreds of sausage patties. An MBU burner running on jet fuel is intensely hot and incredibly difficult to micromanage. If a cook puts eggs directly into a thin metal pan over a jet fuel flame, the eggs will scorch and fuse to the metal in a matter of seconds. Instead, the main courses like scrambled eggs, sausage gravy, or beef stew are sealed inside heavy-duty, multi-layered polymer foil bags at the factory. When the 50-gallon vats of water reach a violent rolling boil, the cooks use heavy insulated gloves to pick up the foil bags. Each bag can weigh up to 10 pounds. They carefully drop the sealed bags directly into the boiling water. This thermodynamic process is flawless. The water acts as a thermal buffer. It ensures the food is heated evenly and rapidly to exactly 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but it physically cannot burn the contents. The most critical advantage of this system is time and water conservation. Because the food never actually touches the inside of the cooking vat, the massive steel pots do not need to be scrubbed clean after the meal. They just hold boiling water. While the main courses boil, the cooks utilize the field ovens. The UGR contains baking mixes for biscuits, cornbread, or cakes. Managing a field oven running on an MBU requires constant physical attention. There are no digital thermostats or automatic timers. The cook watches a simple mechanical dial thermometer bolted to the front of the steel door. If the temperature begins to drop, they must manually turn a valve to increase the flow of aviation fuel to the burner. If the oven gets too hot, they must physically open the heavy doors to vent the heat. Baking enough biscuits for 800 soldiers requires a continuous rotation of heavy metal sheet pans. The cooks are constantly bending, lifting, and shifting the hot metal. The ambient temperature inside the containerized kitchen steadily rises. Surrounded by boiling vats of water and jet fuel ovens, the temperature inside the metal box can easily exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The cooks sweat profusely. They drink liters of water to avoid heat casualties before the sun even comes up. At 5:45 a.m., the preparation is complete. The cooks use long metal tongs to pull the heavy steaming foil bags out of the boiling water. They place them onto the serving tables. They take sharp knives and slice the tops of the bags completely off. They pour the steaming, heavily caloric contents directly into rectangular metal serving trays. At 6 in the morning, the infantrymen arrive. They form a massive line stretching out into the dirt. They are wearing their combat uniforms, carrying their helmets and weapons. The feeding process is an exercise in brutal industrial flow. Feeding 800 people in a 60-minute window requires a soldier to walk past the serving window every 4.5 seconds. The serving line is established along the expanded wing of the containerized kitchen. The cooks stand behind the hot trays. They wield heavy metal serving spoons. They operate like pistons in a mechanical engine. Scoop, serve, move, scoop, serve, move. They repeat this physical motion hundreds of times. Their forearms cramp, their shoulders burn. They do not have time for casual conversation. The line must keep moving. If the line slows down, the tactical timeline of the entire infantry battalion is delayed. Patrols will leave late, convoys will miss their movement windows. By 7:30 in the morning, the final soldier walks through the line. The hot food is gone. The troops return to their armored vehicles and their combat duties. But for the culinary specialists, the hardest and most physically demanding phase of the operation is just beginning. Field sanitation, historically disease and infection have killed more soldiers in war zones than enemy artillery. A gastrointestinal outbreak caused by dirty cooking equipment can instantly render a battalion combat ineffective. The standard for cleanliness in the field is absolute. The cooks establish the Field Sanitation Center, the FSC, outside the kitchen container. The FSC consists of 3 massive, heavy-duty plastic sinks. Each sink holds 30 gallons of water. Each sink is heated by its own individual MBU, jet fuel burner placed underneath it. The cleaning procedure is rigid and heavily regulated by military doctrine. Sink 1 is the wash sink. The cooks fill it with heavy-duty institutional detergent. They manually adjust the MBU underneath to heat the soapy water to exactly 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Sink 2 is the rinse sink. This contains clear, clean water heated to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Sink 3 is the sanitizing sink. The water here is heated to a rolling boil, or it is treated with a strict chemically precise measurement of iodine or chlorine tablets. The cooks don heavy, thick black rubber gloves that reach up to their elbows. They grab long, stiff, bristled scrub brushes. They gather the hundreds of metal serving trays, the baking sheets, and the cooking utensils. They plunge their hands into the scalding, soapy water of the first sink. They manually scrub the grease, the baked-on dough, and the dirt from every single piece of metal. They are standing outside in the elements. If it is raining, they wash in the rain. If there is a dust storm, they attempt to shield the clean equipment with tarps. They move the metal from the wash sink to the rinse sink, and finally submerge it in the chemical sanitizing sink. Disposing of the used dirty water, the greywater, is a massive logistical problem. You cannot simply pull a plug and dump 90 gallons of greasy, chemically treated water onto the dirt. It would instantly create a massive foul-smelling mud pit. It would attract thousands of flies, breeding bacteria and creating a severe biological hazard right next to the kitchen. To solve this, the cooks must manually dig soakage pits. Using shovels and pickaxes, they dig deep trenches into the hard earth. They fill the trenches with layers of large rocks, smaller stones, and gravel. They pour the greywater slowly over the rocks. The rock layers act as a crude mechanical filter, trapping the heavy grease and food particles while allowing the water to slowly seep into the surrounding soil without pooling on the surface. Digging and maintaining these pits is exhausting, back-breaking manual labor. By the time the final serving tray is sanitized, air-dried, and securely packed away, and the greywater has been properly disposed of, it is 10 in the morning. The cooks are physically exhausted. They smell of sweat, bleach, and aviation fuel. Their uniforms are stained with grease. There is no rest period. Lunch is scheduled for noon. The cooks walk over to the supply pallets. They drag the next 16 heavy cardboard UGR boxes toward the containerized kitchen. They check the fuel levels in the gravity feed tanks. They reignite the modern burner units. The roar of the jet fuel flames fills the metal box once again. The massive vats are refilled with water. The cycle immediately restarts. A military culinary specialist does not just prepare meals. They are heavy equipment operators, hazardous fuel handlers, sanitation experts, and combat soldiers. They operate highly complex thermodynamic systems under extreme physical duress. They are expected to pull guard duty on the perimeter wire at night and then wake up at 3 in the morning to do it all over again. The containerized kitchen is not just a place to cook. It is a highly engineered mobile industrial plant. It is designed to turn aviation kerosene and heavy foil bags into raw human endurance. It is the beating heart of the forward operating base, transforming calories into the kinetic energy required to sustain 800 heavily armed soldiers in the most unforgiving environments on Earth.